that is darker than I thought it was going to be. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leandra the TBR0, and I have so many middle grade horror and thriller recommendations for you and for me. I feel as though this is going to be a great resource for those middle grade lovers out there, but also for teachers, librarians, anyone who's looking for a gift for maybe a niece, nephew, son, daughter, child of any form, because this is honestly a really great mix of various authors from various backgrounds, and I'm actually really proud of it. I know I said that about my genre blends video, but I think I outdid myself. In my genre blends video, I had 70 plus genre blends from 7 different types of blending of genres, whereas this time I have 30 plus authors and over 80 books total written by those authors. The inspiration for making this is because I'm participating in the amazing readathon. I'm very fortunate to be a co-host for Team Spooky, and it's all thanks to our creator, our Loki, Bree from 4 Paws and a Book. I have linked below her announcement video. That is the perfect reference for you to start from if you have no idea what I'm talking about, or if you do, but you're like, I actually didn't watch that video, or I did, but I was too busy signing up for the Discord, signing up on the Google Forms, that I wasn't really paying attention to the important information. So make sure you go check that out. It's a quick video, and of course we love Bree, so we want her to talk about anything under the sun. And I mean it. I would listen to Bree talk about anything for hours. I'm a little obsessed. But anyways, putting my obsession with 4 Paws and a Book aside, I was asked by a few people on Team Spooky for middle grade horror and thriller recommendations. And I think this actually could benefit anyone who's participating in the amazing readathon, especially because a lot of these books do fit the sightseeing prompts, which is just fair game. So keep an eye out for those. On top of that, I feel as though I've cracked the code, especially for some of these sightseeing prompts that might be difficult. One, sightseeing has no really need for high page count, so the quicker the better. Where else should you start but middle grade, which are super fast paced, tend to be shorter, and they're just really enjoyable, light, great palette cleansers between legs. On top of the fact that when it comes to Goodreads or Storygraph reviews / ratings, they tend to not really be seen very often. So as far as total ratings / reviews on these reviewing sites, they're actually very low, and I know that one of the sightseeing prompts is to read a book that is less than 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, and you can kind of also transition that into Storygraph if you use Storygraph instead of Goodreads. I hope that I have fully convinced you to give middle grade a try, especially if you're someone who likes spooky reads, who likes atmospheric settings, because middle grade horror and thrillers is definitely where it's at. Before we get into those recommendations, I have to say that the Manor is getting pretty crowded. Thank you all who have recently joined my Patreon at whatever tier you've joined. I'm really excited, and it's quite a full house. The housekeeping staff is just going to be run ragged. I'm going to have to give them a couple of raises, I think. That is, as long as they can stay on staff and don't get murdered. Anywho, that's a problem for another day and another murder. I am thanking my newest sleuths, Katie, Danny, Lori, Katrina, Bronwyn, Carly, and Morgan. My newest witnesses, Monica, Brittany, Melinda, and Claire. My newest suspect, Naiad. And finally, the queen of the hour, our first ever corpse, Paula. Thank you so much, Paula, for honestly doing the good work and volunteering to be our dead body. I really appreciate it, and well, we're gonna find out who murdered you, so stay tuned. For those of you who are new to the Patreon, this is my reminder to be sure to check out the Patreon feed, check out the Discord, because I have been posting quite a lot over the weekend. I ended up posting our first ever Manor Gazette, which tells you everything I'm doing that you're doing throughout the week, as well as 4 very important voting polls that will be closing this coming Saturday. So make sure you put in your votes, put in your voice, and see what is in store for the Manor. All right, your girl is sitting down for this because we're gonna be here for a while. Before I start the slideshow, I do want to let you know that every single slide is really only going for about a minute. So I'm going to do my best to read the synopsis to you and then just provide a few details that I find most interesting or confirming whether I've read this title, this series, or not. There's also a bit of a key going on throughout the slides just to provide some kind of quick information about the author or the book. So for instance, if you see a rainbow in the upper left-hand corner, that means that I can confirm that this author is a part of the LGBTQIA community. I also have a little thing of popcorn in some of the slides. Only I think 2 ended up being a part of this category, and that's the film adaptation. So if you're looking for a book that is a book to film adaptation offering, I did find a couple, but it's not as common in middle grade, especially when it comes to middle grade horror and thriller. And on top of that, for those of you who need it or are interested in ensuring that you're diversifying your reads at every level, I have included whether they are part of any type of BIPOC community, and I've also included a few details that might be helpful if you have some obscure sightseeing prompts that you're trying to complete, including reading a book that is 1,000 ratings or less on Goodreads. I've included the Storygraph rating / review numbers as well, in case you're someone who uses Storygraph and not Goodreads. On top of that, I have images of every single book. I also have the publisher, because you never know in the future if we are suddenly banning or boycotting certain publishers, because we're doing that right now, and that's why those books are not being featured here, at least to my knowledge, and the ratings for every single book too. But do take it with a grain of salt, because as you'll see with the numbers of reviews on these sites, it's very little. So really every single review has a much heavier impact on whether it's a low or high rating. So I just wanted to preface that. All right, let's get into this slideshow. Middle grade horror and thriller. I absolutely adore this category, this age category, but also this specific genres within it, because it's so atmospheric. And that is the type of horror and thriller that I love. If you give me an excellent setting, honestly, keep the gore, keep the visceral violence and language, because I love an atmospheric read. Oh, also, these books are in alphabetical order by title, just because I thought that was easier. The Appearing House by Ali Melanenko. For as long as anyone could remember, there wasn't a house at the dead end of Juniper Drive, until one day there was. When Jack first sees the house, she's counting down to the 5-year anniversary of her cancer diagnosis, when she hopefully will be declared NED, or no evidence of disease. But with a house appearing and her hands shaking and a fall off her bike, Jack is starting to wonder if these are symptoms, or if something stranger is happening. 2 classmates dare Jack and her friend Hazel to enter the house. Walking through the front door is the way in. It's definitely not the way out. This looks too fun. I have already put my hold on Libby for this one, and I'm going to see if my local library has the physical copy, because this is right up my alley, and I love that the author is LGBT+, because that also gets you some bonus points if you're participating in the Amazing Readathon, and you can support an LGBT+ author in June, which is Pride Month. Eveline Jones, the entire series, there's 3 of them, and this is the synopsis for book 1. Eveline Jones loves reading ghost stories, so a dreary half-term becomes much more exciting when she discovers a spooky old book. Not only are the stories spine-tingling, but it once belonged to Primrose Penberthy, who vanished mysteriously, never to be seen again. Intrigued, Eveline decides to investigate Primrose's disappearance. Now someone, or something, is stirring, and it is looking for Eveline. Turn on your torches and join Eveline Jones in her first charmingly spooky mystery from debut author Phil Hicks. A debut author, that is awesome. 3 books in the series, so if you love the first, you've got 2 more that you can read. I love the covers, and I'm really sure that it's probably Aveline, but I said Eveline, so you're welcome for that. On top of that, 3 books, all 4+ stars for the ratings on Storygraph. I'm sold. It sounds great to me. The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampion. Everyone knows Fall Hollow is haunted. It has been ever since Abigail Snook went into the woods many years ago, never to be seen again. Since then, it's tradition for the 6th graders at Beckett Elementary to play the Bellwoods Game on Halloween night. 3 kids are chosen to go into the woods. Whoever rings the bell there wins the game and saves the town for another year. But if Abigail's ghost captures the players first, the spirit is let loose to wreak havoc in Fall Hollow, or so the story goes. Now that's it's Bailey's year to play. She can finally find out what really happens. And legend has it the game's winner gets a wish. Maybe, just maybe, if Bailey wins, she can go back to the way things used to be before her grandma got sick and everyone at school started hating her. But when the night begins, everything the kids thought they knew about the game and each other is challenged. Ooh, this looks really good. The cover is also really enticing. I'm adding it to my list. Blight Harbor series. I have read the first book in this series. I gave it 4 stars. It was super atmospheric. I loved the town setting, and I'm kind of hoping that in book 2 we come back to that because I just didn't get enough of it. Evie Von Rath lives in Blight Harbor, the 7th most haunted town in America, with her aunt Desdemona, the local paranormal expert. Des doesn't have many rules except stay out of the abandoned slaughterhouse at the edge of town. But when her aunt disappears into the building, Evie goes searching for her. And this book was so interesting. It's dealing with a serial killer come ghost, and he's pretty much haunting our main character Evie as she searches for a way to save her aunt. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super fun. A great debut from this author. At least I believe it's a middle grade debut from the author. And The Night Housekeeper is definitely on my list to read because I feel like it could be a really quick read and something that you just enjoy and you root for the character. Camp Murder Face. This is also on my list. I really want to read it and I had no idea it was going to become a series. So for the first book, the year is 1983. The place, Ohio. The camp, scary as heck. Camp Sweetwater is finally reopening 3 decades after it mysteriously shut down. Campers Corinne Quinn and Tez Jones have each had more than enough of their regular lives. They're so ready to take their summer at Sweetwater by storm. But before they can, so much as toast one marshmallow, strange happenings start happening. Can they survive the summer, or will Camp Sweetwater shut down for good this time, with them inside? Now, the ratings on Storygraph aren't super high, but I still think this would be really fun. I love the fact that we've got 2 authors. That's not super common. And one of the authors, Sandra Mitchell, is a part of the LGBT plus community, which is why it's getting the rainbow. So yeah, if you're interested, this would be a really quick read. They're not very long. Camp Scare by Delilah S. Dawson. This one looks so fun. An eerie, twisty ghost story about 12-year-old Parker, who only wants a summer of fun and new friendship at sleepaway camp, but ends up finding a nightmare instead. Don't forget your flashlight. Parker Nelson can't wait for summer camp. She'll have fun and make amazing memories far away from the bullies who made 7th grade unbearable. But then something terrible happens. The mean girl who made life a living nightmare is in Parker's cabin. Soon all the other girls turn on Parker too. No one wants to be her friend, except Jenny. Jenny's the only one who feels the same way Parker does, that there's a deep, dark secret to making friends, and she's the only one who doesn't know it. But there's something else Parker doesn't know. Something bad happened at camp a long time ago, and it just won't stay buried. Ah! I love a camp setting. This seems so fun too. Oh yeah, adding it to the list. Now, this one is obviously super well known. You can see that the Goodreads rating is 697.9 thousand ratings, by the way. So this could fit for the sightseeing prompt of reading a book that has 100,000 ratings or more, and it's Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I haven't read it. I know, I should. In Coraline's family's new flat, there's a locked door on the other side of a brick wall until Caroline unlocks the door and finds a passage to another flat in another house, just like her own, only different. The food is better there. Books have pictures that writhe and crawl and shimmer, and there's another mother and father there who want Coraline to be their little girl. They want to change her and keep her with them forever. And this has a film adaptation that everyone's obsessed with. It's also a publication from 2002, so it's a bit of a classic at this point as far as middle grade reads go. I know that is probably a bit disarming for people to hear, but I think it is. Crater Lake series. This one also looks super fun, a great outdoorsy setting. Welcome to Crater Lake, the year 6 school trip from hell. Maybe it's the blood-stained man who tries to stop the coach. Maybe it's the absence of welcoming staff, but something is definitely not right at Crater Lake Activity Center. Then, at night, things get much, much stranger. But no matter what happens, don't ever fall asleep. Get this exciting, scary adventure book today. And we have 2 books. We've got Crater Lake and Crater Lake Evolution. So if you love the first one, you can definitely move on to book 2. I also think they're probably pretty short, I'm imagining. And it seems as though those who enjoy book 1 continue to love book 2, especially because book 2 has a much higher rating at stars. So I think that those who continue, they're the true fans. So if you end up liking book 1, keep going. Why not? The Curious Vanishing of Beatrice Willoughby by G.Z. Schmidt. The Amadeuses were always considered somewhat strange, even before the incident. When 6-year-old Beatrice Willoughby vanished at the Amadeuses' annual All Hallows Eve party, people in the tiny mountain town of Nevermore were quick to think they were always odd. Their house is full of dark magic. And when more Amadeus was pegged for the crime, the Amadeuses, once the center of society, retreated. They closed their doors, disappeared from life. People almost forgot, until 13 years later, when 6 envelopes land at the doorstep of 6 households. We cordially invite you to a celebration on the 31st of October, this Saturday evening, at the Amadeus household. So begins the mystery of who was really responsible for the missing girl 13 years ago. I love a missing persons case, and it seems as though we have a crowd of very strange, odd, quirky characters. We'll be inviting a bunch of guests. It's going to be great. The Cursed Moon by Angela Cervantes. Rafael Fuentes isn't easily scared. He loves writing ghost stories, reading scary books, and entertaining his friends with terrifying tales he creates on the spot. Rafa has come up against enough real-life scary situations that fictional hauntings seem like no big deal. Rafa's incarcerated mom is being released from jail soon and will be coming to live with him, his sister, and their grandparents. For the first time in a while, Rafa feels a pit of fear growing in his stomach. To take his mind off his mom's return, Rafa spends an evening crafting the scariest ghost story he's ever told. As an eerie blood moon hangs in the sky, Rafa tells a group of friends about the caretaker. The caretaker is an evil ghost who lures unsuspecting kids into the neighborhood pond, and they don't ever come out. Rafa is really proud of his latest creation until strange things start to happen around him. With a sinking feeling, Rafa realizes the caretaker is real. I love it. Daybreak on Raven Island by Fleur T. Bradley. By the way, the author is Dutch, which I think is very fun. From the critically acclaimed author of Midnight at the Berkeley Hotel, another book I want to read, comes a thrilling new middle grade mystery novel inspired by Alcatraz Prison. Tori, Marvin, and Noah would rather be anywhere else than on the 7th grade class trip to Raven Island Prison. Tori would rather be on the soccer field, but her bad grades have benched her until further notice. Marvin would rather be at the first day of a film festival with his best friend Kevin, and Noah isn't looking forward to having to make small talk with his classmates at this new school. But when the 3 of them stumble upon a dead body in the woods, miss the last ferry back home, and then have to spend the night on the Raven Island, they find that they need each other now more than ever. They must work together to uncover a killer, outrun a motley ghost hunting crew, and expose the age-old secrets of the island all before daybreak. I think this leans a bit more thriller. That's why I put it on this list. Deep Haven by Ethan M. Aldridge. The gothic MG, middle grade, prose novel that follows a non-binary student who is drawn to their boarding school's Forbidden East Wing, where something stalks the shadowy corridors. I gave this 3.5 stars, but I do think that a lot of people would thoroughly enjoy it. It's definitely more of a horror mystery genre blend, and Nev Tallow, the main character, is just a breath of fresh air. I really enjoy them, and I love that within this middle grade setting, no one has any issues with the fact that they go by they, them. It's honestly very much accepted, and there are bigger problems for everyone to deal with at the school. So I like that it's normalized in this very gothic, high academic kind of setting. So if you want an academic setting, this one's definitely for you. Dreadwood Series by Jennifer Killick. This author we've seen before, and now I've got 5 more books by her. It's basically the worst school detention ever, when classmates, but not mates, Hallie, Angelo, Gustav, and Nara are forced to come to school on a Saturday. They think things can't get much worse, but they're wrong. Things are about to get seriously scary. What has dragged their teacher underground? Why do the creepy caretakers keep humming the tune to Itsy Bitsy Spider? And what horrors lurk in the shadows, getting stronger and meaner every minute? It feels like a Breakfast Club, but set at middle grade and terrifying, rather than being this kind of like, I don't know, angsty teen setting. I think it sounds really fun. And that's just book 1. I mean, the other 4 books look really good too. Fearground, Flock Horror, Deadly Deep, Fright Bite, and they all have really high ratings. So I don't think you can go wrong with this series. Exit 13 by Gems Preller. Illustrated by Kevin Keel. Welcome to the Exit 13 Motel. Pets welcome, and don't worry, we've been waiting for you, so stay as long as you like. The McGinns were supposed to be going on a perfectly normal family vacation. Sure, Ash's older sister Willow was a pain, their dog Daisy was a whiny, scaredy cat, and their parents were being kind of lame. All of that was to be expected, perfectly normal. But when the family decides to make an unplanned stop one night, it quickly becomes clear that this family vacation is about to get more than a little weird, because there is nothing normal about the Exit 13 motel. Rooms and hallways that don't go where they're supposed to, a receptionist that looks like he came straight out of a horror movie, and creepy woods that Ash swears have some kind of monster lurking in them, maybe even more than one. Yeah, this looks super fun. It does seem to be on the younger middle grade side, so I will, warn you about that, but it seems fun. Extra Normal by Kate Alice Marshall. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. It is one of my favorite covers as well. It clearly represents the vibes and all of the main characters. Charlie Greer is nothing special, at least not compared to her adopted siblings. Her younger sister is a ghost. Her brother Mateo is a werewolf. Gideon is the product of seriously sketchy experiments that gave him telekinetic powers. Even her parents work for the Division of Extra Normal Investigations, tracking down all things supernatural, alien, and otherwise unusual. But then the new neighbors arrive. The Weavers are a nice, normal couple, too nice and too normal, and for some reason they don't seem to want Charlie to see inside their house. She's certain they're hiding something. Charlie has to uncover what's going on with the Weavers and stop their plans without letting Mom and Dad find out anything is wrong. I loved the adoption rep. I also love that there was deaf rep in here too. The fact that our main character is just such a great older sister for her adoptive siblings, and it was great. Finch House by Sierra Birch. This says 11-year-old Micah has no interest in moving out of her grandfather's house. She loves living with Pop Pop and their shared hobby of driving around rich neighborhoods to find treasures in others' trash. To avoid packing, Micah goes for a bike ride and ends up at Finch House, the decrepit Victorian that Pop Pop says is off limits. Except when she gets there, it's all fixed up and there's a boy named Theo in the front yard. Surely that means Finch House isn't off limits anymore, but when Pop Pop finds her there, Micah is only met with his disappointment. By the next day, Pop Pop is nowhere to be found. After searching everywhere, Micah's instincts lead her back to Finch House, but once Theo invites her inside, Micah realizes she can't leave, and that, with its strange whispers and deep, dark shadows, Finch House isn't just a house, it's alive. This looks super cool. Plus LGBT+, Black author, I'm down. Ghost Girl by Ali Melanenko. You'll see that this is the second book on this list by this author. It all starts with a dark and stormy night. When the sky is clear, everything is different. People are missing. There is a creepy new principal who seems to know everyone's darkest dreams, and Z is seeing frightening things, large, scary dogs that talk, and maybe even a ghost. When she tells her classmates, only her best friend Elijah believes her. Worse, mean girl Nellie gives Z a cruel nickname, Ghost Girl. But whatever the storm washed up isn't going away. Everyone's most selfish wishes start coming true in creepy ways. To fight for what's right, all 3 of them, Z, Elijah, and Nellie, will have to work together if they want to give their ghost story a happy ending. This feels like a Scooby Gang kind of feel, found friendship maybe. Seeing their differences as not being that big. I'm really into it. I want to read it. The Ghost of Spruce Point by Nancy Tandon. A young boy must unravel a curse to save his family's beloved Maine motel in this spooky middle grade novel. 12-year-old Parker has grown up in his family's home away inn, nestled on a wooded peninsula in Maine called Spruce Point. His best friend Frankie has been staying at the inn every summer for years with her family. Together, they've had epic adventures based out of a nearby old treehouse that serves as their official headquarters for kids' confidential meetings. But lately, business at the inn hasn't been great, and Parker is pretty sure he knows why. It's long been rumored that Mrs. Grovelig, one of the few year-rounders on Spruce Point, has unique abilities of the supernatural kind, and Frankie is absolutely sure she saw a ghost on Mrs. Grovelig's property. As more and more spooky happenings occur around the point, Parker and Frankie are convinced Spruce Point has been officially cursed. Again, super cool. It probably hasn't gotten enough traffic. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Nobody Owens, known to his friends as Bod, is a perfectly normal boy. Well, he would be perfectly normal if he didn't live in a graveyard, being raised and educated by ghosts, with a solitary guardian who belongs to neither the world of the living nor the world of the dead. There are dangers and adventures for Bod in the graveyard, the strange and terrible menace of the Sleer, a gravestone entrance to a desert that leads to the city of ghouls, friendship with a witch, and so much more. But it is in the land of the living that real dangers lurk, for it is there that the man Jack lives, and he has already killed Bod's family. Whoa, that is darker than I thought it was going to be. This was published in September 2008, so also an older title on this list, by Neil Gaiman, the same author of Coraline, so also super well loved by the community and so many ratings on Goodreads. There's also an interesting graphic novel version. So if you have already read the Graveyard book and you are wanting to venture back in, but maybe through a different medium, definitely check out the Graveyard book. There's 2 volumes to my knowledge, and they don't seem like they've gotten as much traffic, maybe because people don't know of it as well. I've also heard that there's a film adaptation in the works, but there isn't a date, and it's very bare bones at the moment, but a lot's happening around this title, so you might want to make sure you're reading it if you haven't, because big things are happening for it. Hide and Seeker by Daka Herman. Don't let the seeker find you. 12-year-old Z is back now. He disappeared for a year, and nobody knows where he went or what happened to him. Not even his best friends, Justin, Nia, and Lyric. But ever since Z has been back, he's been different. After Z freaks out at his friends playing hide and seek at an odd party in his backyard, the first time his group of friends are back together since his appearance, strange things begin to occur. Everyone who played in the game has a mark on their wrist, and then they disappear. The kids are pulled into a shadow world, the nowhere, ruled by the monstrous, shape-shifting Seeker. Justin and his friends will have to band together and face their worst nightmares to defeat the Seeker or lose themselves to nowhere forever. Ooh, this looks really fascinating, and it already does have 2.3 thousand ratings, which is kind of high for a middle grade. The Jumbies series. There are 3 in this series. So again, if you love book 1, you've got 2 more to look into. It's by a Caribbean author, which I think is great as well. The start of an exciting series filled with Caribbean folklore and daring adventure. Corinne Lemur claims she isn't afraid of anything. Not scorpions, not the boys who tease her, and certainly not Jumbies. They're just tricksters made up by parents to frighten their children. Then, one night, Corinne chases an agouti all the way into the forbidden forest, and shining yellow eyes follow her to the edge of the trees. They couldn't belong to a Jumbie, or could they? When Corinne spots a beautiful stranger at the market the very next day, she knows something extraordinary is about to happen. When this same beauty, called Severin, turns up at Corinne's house, danger is in the air. Severin plans to claim the entire island for the Jumbies. This seemed really fascinating. Definitely one to keep an eye on if you're interested. The Keeper by Guadalupe Garcia McCall. This one I gave 5 stars. I loved the vibe. I love that it was based on The Watcher, and I really enjoyed the folklore and background as far as the Latinx community goes. Moving from Texas to Oregon was a bad idea. No sooner have James and his family arrived in their perfect new town than he starts getting mysterious and sinister letters from someone called the Keeper. Someone who claims to be watching him, someone who is looking for young blood. James and his sister Ava are obviously in danger, but the problem with making a fuss about moving and having a history of playing practical jokes is that no one believes James, not even his parents. So this is definitely the boy who cried wolf situation. These siblings have to work together to figure out what's going on before danger strikes. And I loved the indigenous backgrounds too, as far as the key in the back of the book. The author did such a great job. Moonwind Mystery Series. This is a translation. The author is originally Swedish, and 2 books have been published thus far. It's 1880, and in the frigid city of Stockholm, death lurks around every corner. 12-year-old Micah knows that everyone in her orphanage will struggle to survive this winter. But at least the notorious serial killer, the Night Raven, is finally off the streets. Or is he? Micah is shocked when a newborn baby is left at the orphanage in the middle of the night by a boy with a cryptic message. Who is he? And who is this dark angel he speaks of? When a detective shows up, Micah senses something even more sinister is going on. Yeah, it's a serial killer in 1880s. We're talking about famine as well, rationing of food, dark, wintry setting. It was definitely super spooky. And yeah, I gave the first one 3.5 stars. I'll continue the series for sure. Nightmare Island by Shakira Bourne. This looks really good. So, from author of Josephine Against the Sea, a mysterious adventure that explores one of the most chilling tales in Caribbean mythology, the faceless Duan children. It might be Darwin children. 12-year-old Serenity Noah has never told anyone about her recurrent nightmares, the haunting images of silver butterflies whose flapping wings drive away all sound, leaving only suffocating silence in their wake. Her parents already favor her perfect younger brother, Peace, and she doesn't want to be seen as the problem child. Instead, Serenity's found a productive way to channel her fears, creating a horror movie as scary as her nightmares. When Peace suddenly becomes afraid of the dark and refuses to sleep alone, their parents take him away for treatment on Duppy Island. Serenity has a very bad feeling about the mysterious island and the facility's creepy leader, Dr. Whisper. And when she sees a silver butterfly from her nightmares in the Forbidden Forest, she realizes that something is... Oh my god. And when she sees a silver butterfly from her nightmares in the Forbidden Forest, she realizes that something is seriously, dangerously awry. On the TBR, also just came out about a year ago, so happy 1-year anniversary to this author. The Other Woods by Justine Pusella Winans. Some would call River Vidal a chosen one, born with the ability to see monsters and travel to a terrifying world called the Other Woods. They have all the makings of a hero. But River just calls himself unlucky. It's not like anyone actually believes River can do these things, so the way River sees it, it's best to just ignore anything Other Woods related. But the Other Woods won't be ignored any longer. When River's only friend and crush, Avery, is dragged into the Other Woods, River has no choice but to confront the world they've seen only in their nightmares, but reality is more horrifying than they could have ever imagined. With only their cat to protection, and a teen spirit as their guide, River must face the Other Woods and their own fears to become the hero they were, unfortunately destined to be. Amazing, another non-binary main character, plus an LGBT plus author. So yeah, please support them. It looks so good. The Peculiar Incident on Shady Street by Lindsay Curry. This is the first of 3 books by this author that I'm going to be promoting. A girl unravels a centuries-old mystery after moving into a haunted house in this deliciously suspenseful mystery. Tessa Woodward isn't exactly thrilled to move to rainy, cold Chicago from her home in sunny Florida, but homesickness turns to icy fear when unexplainable things start happening in her new house. Things like flickering lights, mysterious drawings appearing out of nowhere, and a crackling noise she can feel in her bones. When her little brother's doll starts crying real tears, Tessa realizes that someone or something is trying to communicate with her. A secret that's been shrouded in mystery for more than 100 years. With the help of 3 new friends, Tessa begins unraveling the mystery of what happened in the house on Shady Street, and most importantly, what it has to do with her. Haunted house setting, new friends, really atmospheric. Peril at Price Manor by Laura Parnham. I loved this. I gave it 4 stars, but more and more I'm wondering if I should have given it 5. Hallie dreams of becoming a scream queen. She practices her loudest scream every day and has learned a lot from studying the horror movies of her favorite director, Maximus Price. Maximus lives just outside town, and when the chance to go to his home arises, Hallie grabs it with both hands. She doesn't realize that real-life horrors await her at Price Manor. Paisley and Argyle, Maximus's twin children, think that the creepy, squid-like creatures that have attached themselves to the faces of the manor staff, putting them in a zombie-like stupor, are just another one of their prankster dad's tricks. When Hallie arrives and is attacked by one of the creatures, she meets the twins and assures them that this is no joke. The 3 kids will have to work together, using all of their unusual talents to defeat the monsters, and maybe even save the world. This is so fun. I don't understand why it only has 134 ratings on Goodreads or 19 reviews on Storygraph, because I had such a ball with it. Scritch Scratch by Lindsay Curry. Claire has absolutely no interest in the paranormal. She's a scientist, which is why she can't think of anything worse than having to help out her dad on one of his ghost-themed Chicago bus tours. She thinks she's made it through when she sees a boy with a sad face and dark eyes at the back of the bus. There's something off about his presence, especially because when she checks at the end of the tour, he's gone. Claire tries to brush it off. She must be imagining things, letting her dad's ghost stories get the best of her. But then the scratching starts. Voices whisper to her in the dark. The number 396 appears everywhere she turns, and the boy with the dark eyes starts following her. Claire is being haunted. The boy from the bus wants something, and Claire needs to find out what before it's too late. Super cool. I need to try Lindsay Curry. That's an author I haven't tried myself, but I've been meaning to. Shiver Point by Gabriel Dillon. Another great cover. I love it when you see an entire cast of characters. Welcome to Shiver Point, home of spooks, screams, and small-town horror. Enter if you dare. When Riley notices a new scarecrow in the field by her house, she doesn't think much of it until she hears rumors of break-ins across town and strange figures sighted in the fields when the sun goes down. And then, one night, she hears a tap at the window. It's time to get the Shiver Squad on the case, but when all roads lead them to the abandoned Dark Raven farm, will they be able to save the town from the Scarecrow's vengeance in time? Packed with chills and thrills. Ooh, and it's recommended for people who like Dreadwood and Goosebumps for ages 9 through 12, so maybe a bit of a younger middle grade as well, so keep that in mind. It looks really cute though, doesn't it? I love a Scooby Gang. I'm such a sucker for it. It also just came out. Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. I read the first 2 books in this series, and I definitely need to continue to Dark Waters. The first book is 11-year-old Ollie finds solace in books, so when she happens upon a crazed woman at the river threatening to throw a book into the water, Ollie steals the book and runs away. As she begins to read the slender volume, she discovers a chilling story about the Smiling Man. The next day, Ollie goes on a school field trip to Smoke Hollow, a local farm with a haunting history all its own. There she stumbles upon the graves of the very people she's been reading about. Could it be the story about the Smiling Man is true? On the way home, the school bus breaks down, sending their teacher back to the farm for help. But the strange bus driver has some advice for the kids left behind in his care. Best get moving. At nightfall, they'll come for the rest of you. I swear, I loved the first book. It was super atmospheric. I do say I think I liked Small Spaces more than book 2 though. We Need Diverse Books founder Ellen O returns with Spirit Hunters, a high-stakes middle-grade mystery series about Harper Rain, the new 7th grader in town who must face down the dangerous ghosts haunting her younger brother. A riveting ghost story and captivating adventure, this tale will have you guessing at every turn. Harper doesn't trust her new home from the moment she steps inside, and the rumors are that the Rain family's new house is haunted. Harper isn't sure she believes those rumors until her younger brother Michael starts acting strangely. The whole atmosphere gives Harper a sense of deja vu, but she can't remember why. She knows that the memories she's blocking will help make sense of her brother's behavior and the strange and threatening sensations she feels in the house. But will she be able to put the pieces together in time? Dun dun dun. 13s by Kate Alice Marshall. I started the first book, 13s, but then I just got distracted and I have been meaning to get back to it so I can read the entire series. Here's the synopsis. When Eleanor awakens in her new home to discover an ancient grandfather clock that she's never seen before outside her new room, she's sure her eyes must be playing tricks on her. But then she spots a large bird staring at her as she boards the school bus, and a black dog with glowing red eyes following her around town. All she wants is to be normal, and these are far from normal. And worse, no one else can see them, except for her new friends, Pip and Otto, who teach her a thing or two about surviving in Eden Eld. First, don't let the wrong things know you can see them. Second, don't speak of the wrong things to anyone else. We have another Scooby Gang. I love it so much. And this is also by an LGBT+ author, Kate Alice Marshall. So get those bonus points. And if you continue to books 2 and 3, they're really low ratings. They have a really low number of ratings, I should say. What Lives in the Woods by Lindsay Curry. All Jenny Anderson wants from her summer is to sleep in, attend a mystery writing workshop, and spend time with her best friend. But when Ginny's father, a respected restoration expert in Chicago, surprises the family with a month-long trip to Michigan, everything changes. They aren't staying in a hotel like most families would. No, they're staying in a mansion, a 26-room, century-old building surrounded by dense forest, Woodmore Manor. But unfortunately, the mansion has more problems than a little peeling wallpaper. Locals claim the surrounding woods are inhabited by mutated creatures with glowing eyes, and some say campers routinely disappear in the woods, never to be seen again. This is the book that first made me want to try Lindsay Curry, just because I love the wood setting. I love a creepy manor with secrets, and who knows what's behind those doors. What Stays Buried by Suzanne Young. 12-year-old Callista Wynne will lose her ability to speak with the dead on her 13th birthday, and with only a few weeks left, children have started going missing. When Callista meets the Tall Lady, an angry spirit with a grudge against Callista, her family, and the entire town, she knows she's found the ghost responsible for the disappearances. It's up to Callista, the only one who can see the Tall Lady, to stop her. If she doesn't, Callista won't just lose her powers. She'll lose everyone she has left. I love this idea of a ghost whisperer teen or preteen, and as soon as she becomes a teen, she loses her abilities to see these supernatural entities. That really intrigues me. Another great cover too. You're invited to a Creepover series. The Creepover series is one I've been really meaning to try, especially because I know that the Hex Library just loves it. During a round of Truth or Dare, Abby Miller confesses her crush on Jake Chilson. The only people who know her secret are her friends at the sleepover, and whoever sent her a text message in the middle of the night warning her to stay away from Jake or else. But Abby isn't going to stay away from Jake, especially not after he asks her to the school dance. As the night of the dance comes closer, some very creepy things start happening to Abby. Someone definitely wants to keep her away from Jake. Is it a jealous classmate, or, as Abby begins to suspect, could it be a ghost? This series first started in January 2011, and it's been going on for quite some time. I think it's officially done with 22 books total. So when it comes to just binging a series, especially if you're trying to get all of those sightseeing prompts, a lot of points for your team, you could clearly be getting a lot of these out of the way. For instance, you can't come in here ready for a scare, the show must go on, there's something out there, just to provide a few really fun titles. I feel as though it's almost like the modern version of Goosebumps, and probably a bit more like with the times too, because I know that Goosebumps hasn't aged super well, hence why I kind of really didn't put it on the list, because I don't know, that's not my vibe. But there's also graphic novels. So I know I mentioned that with Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard book. That one has graphic novels, but so does this. Creepover is currently publishing in graphic novels slowly but surely, and the first 6 novels have been transformed into graphic novel versions, and they look really fun too. I mean, the illustrations are gorgeous. I really love the cartoony kind of Danny Phantom-esque coloring that we're going on here, especially with the spooky elements. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by it. And that is the end of the slideshow. I had a lot of fun doing this, and let's go over to closing remarks, Leandra, because she's going to be more eloquent than I am at the moment. And those are all of my middle grade horror and thriller recommendations for you, whether you are participating in the Amazing Readathon or you came to my video because you just are really looking for an atmospheric, chilling read that's at the middle grade category. I am so excited to be diving into more of these books myself, especially throughout summer. I feel like summer is the perfect time to be getting into atmospheric middle grade reads, especially because quite a few of them, as you saw, have a bit of a camp outdoorsy setting, which is just so fun. But thank you all so much, and thank you so much to my patrons over at the Manor, my guests who include sleuths, witnesses, suspects, as well as my single corpse at the moment. I really do appreciate you all, and I really hope to see you all in the next video, meaning that you probably should like, maybe subscribe so that you get notifications every time another video like this comes up. And yeah, I hope you're having a lovely month of reading whenever you see this. Thanks everyone. Bye!